How does the discriminant determine quadratic root types? Imagine you're trying to figure out how many solutions a quadratic equation has without actually solving it. That's where the discriminant comes into play. The discriminant is a special number inside the quadratic formula that helps us see the nature of the roots. It is calculated using the coefficients of the quadratic equation, which is written as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The formula for the discriminant is b squared minus 4 times a times c. This number tells us whether the roots are real or imaginary, and whether they are different or the same. If the discriminant is positive, it means the quadratic has two different real solutions. When you graph the quadratic function, it crosses the x-axis at 2 points. The square root of a positive number is a real number, so the quadratic formula gives two different answers. If the discriminant equals 0, then there is only one real solution, which is called a repeated root. In this case, the graph just touches the x-axis at 1 point, the vertex. Since the square root of 0 is 0, the quadratic formula simplifies to give just one answer. Now, if the discriminant is less than 0, the situation changes. The roots are no longer real numbers but complex numbers, which include imaginary parts. The graph of the quadratic does not cross or touch the x-axis at all. This happens because the square root of a negative number isn't a real number, so the solutions involve imaginary numbers. Knowing the discriminant helps you quickly understand what kind of roots to expect from any quadratic equation. It saves you time because you don't need to solve the entire equation to see if the roots are real or imaginary. This is especially useful when you're graphing quadratic functions or solving real-world problems involving quadratic relationships. To sum up, the discriminant acts as a guide to root types. It shows whether the roots are to different real numbers, one repeated real number, or to complex numbers. This makes it an important part of understanding quadratic equations and their solutions.